So I had been following the police helicopter and recording him for a long period of time. And at a certain point, he started to get audited decently. And so people know about when he threatened me and flew low around my head. And I recorded him outside the fireman's house next door to my house. And then also down the street at 24092. And then he did it again at 24092. And then they did it again and they said there was a fire, a transformer fire. And then they did it again at night, and I was there recording him and explaining how he'd done it so many times. And then he took off in a dart. And then ever since then, around that time period, that's when they started calling it a routine. And so I always notice as they start to develop things, like they started to develop the Cessna exit route from my street. They started to develop the Cessna every plane route. Yesterday they started to develop the every plane turns, all the helicopters turn behind 24191. That's why the Black Hawk turned. It wasn't responding to you recording it. It doesn't have anything to do with you. He was just doing his routine turn. So there's a point in time then when I had followed him down to El Dorado Park, and I was standing at the top of the ice blocking hill there that faces Geronimo Montilla intersection, and he's an idiot. So he got stuck thinking out beyond Geronimo Montilla doing power circles. And so then they eventually incorporated that into a routine. And that's not a routine. You don't do power circles. So I don't know why that's even accepted in the first place. You fly by and look unless there's a call. So he did that. He does that. And then he goes out and he does a big circle around my neighborhood, going up El Dorado Park from Geronimo Road all the way out towards the YMCA on Tribuco Marguerite. And then he continues and makes a full left swoop around the neighborhood and then comes back over 24092 at the end of my street. And every now and then he tries to throw in a few circles down there. And then he comes back and he flies beyond the houses across the street. So if you're looking across the street from me, right to left, and he makes a big swoop in my neighborhood. And then there have been many variations of that. And they call it his regular routine. And it's not. So he's trying to hit the house where they have the fake news for the transformer fire. He's also trying to fly near my house as he goes up El Dorado Park and cover up for all the instances that I've recorded him. Then there was the incident when he flew over my head. When I heard him coming, I got on my truck on the street and recorded him, and he flew across my roof waving the tail like this is the cover-up of all cover-ups. So I followed him down to the park and recorded him doing the power circles down there beyond Geronimo Montilla. And then I ran out of storage space. We had a whole big event where I ran back and forth and recorded him. And so during that time period, there was a point where he went down to Geronimo Montilla and then comes back up to my street around Castilla Olivera and does power circles down there. So he did that, and I followed him back up, and then I followed him down back to top of the ice blocking hill at El Dorado Park facing Geronimo Montilla intersection. And then I ran out of storage space, so I ran back to my house. And so he's supposedly on a regular routine surveillance of the city. I ran back up to my house, and I knew that I had some apps I could delete. And so dispatch and everyone told him, who are all working backwards and using my phone that's tapped so they can make evidence and argue disturbing arguments, said that go ahead, go back and harass him. So he was stoked, and he flew back up to my street and harassed me, and I deleted Pandora and a couple other apps and recorded him. And then they said, oh, well, that's routine too. So if he shot a kid every day, they would call it a routine. So I don't know how at a certain point in time the judge isn't just like, done. It's bull. You're just always going to make up an answer for everything, and it's not even a feasible answer. It's nonsense. And so now they've started doing things like the other day they did the UN copter cover-ups where they flew the silencer blue copter, and they did a progression. And so it's the silencer blue copter, then the police copter, silencer blue copter, then the police copter, and then two police copters, and they flew across my house in the same path of the call at 11, the fake call where they led me out at 11:30 at night. And then they flew across my roof and then did the circles down the end of the street and tried to lead me down to Caladad, which was the same cover-up for the call where they led me down to Geronimo Alicia intersection and then tried to lead me through the intersection past the K9 unit. And so they're intermixing all these cover-ups, and that's not intelligence. I think that's stupid because they're incorporating a cover-up of a distinct incident with routines and then with other events, and it's nonsense. Those are fatal flaws in that situation, so I don't understand how it's allowed to continue. And so let me see. So then they passed those two over my house, similar to the 11 o'clock at night one, and now they did that again today. So they flew the helicopter across my roof, and then they went down the street, and he did little circles at the end of the street, and then he did all power circles at Caladad and Falda and up and down around Ganador and Hogar. And he had the intercom on, and he was acting like a clown. And then when I went down there, he started to do the circles back towards me because he was going to come over and do the spotlight, but then I was taking off, so he didn't. And so I'm going to cut and save.